The bus bobbed to the surface along with a couple of capsized, half-melted canoes. "Well," said Apollo with a brave smile, "you were right, my dear. You had everything under control. Now let's go see if we boiled anyone important, shall we?" Chapter 5. I placed an underwater phone call. I'd never seen Camp Half-Blood in winter before, and the snow surprised me. See, the camp had the ultimate magic climate control. Nothing gets inside the borders unless its director, Mr. D, wants it to. I thought it'd be warm and sunny, but instead, the snow had been allowed to fall lately. Frost covered the chariot track and strawberry fields. The cabins were decorated with tiny flickering lights like Christmas lights, except for they seemed to be balls of real fire. More lights glowed in the woods, and weirdest of all, a fire flicked in the attic window of the big house where the oracle dwelt, imprisoned in an old mummified body. I wondered if the spirit of Delphi was roasting marshmallows up there or something. "Whoa," Nico said as he climbed off the bus. "Is that a climbing wall?" "Yeah," I said. "Why is there lava pouring down it?" "Little extra challenge. Come on, I'll introduce you to Chiron. Zoe, have you met—" "I know Chiron," Zoe said stiffly. "Tell him we'll be in cabin 8. Hunters, follow me." "I'll show you the way," Grover offered. "We know the way." "Oh, really, it's no trouble. It's easy to get lost here. If you don't—" He tripped over a canoe and came up still talking. "Like my old daddy goat used to say, come on." Zoe rolled her eyes, but I guess she figured there was no getting rid of Grover. The hunters shouldered their packs and bows and headed off towards the cabins. As Bianca D'Angelo was leaving, she leaned over and whispered something in her brother's ear. She looked at him for an answer, but Nico just scowled and turned away. "All right, take care, sweethearts," Apollo called after the hunters. He winked at me. "Watch out for those prophecies, Percy. I'll see you soon." "What do you mean?" Instead of answering, he hopped back in the bus. "Later, Thalia," he called. "And, be good." He gave her a wicked smile, as if he knew something she didn't. Then he closed the doors and revved the engine. I turned aside as the sun chariot took off in a blast of heat. When I looked back, the lake was steaming. A red Maserati soared over the woods, glowing brighter and climbing higher until it disappeared in a ray of sunlight. Nico was looking grumpy. I wondered what his sister had told him. "Who's Chiron?" he said. "I don't have that figurine." He's our activities director," I said. Well, you'll see." "If those hunter girls don't like him," Nico grumbled, "that's good enough for me. Let's go." The second thing that surprised me about the camp was how empty it was. I mean, I knew most half-bloods only trained during the summer. Just the year-rounders would be here. The ones who didn't have homes to go to, or the ones that would get attacked by monsters too much if they left. But there didn't seem to be very many of them either. I spotted Charles Beckendorf from the Festus cabin stoking the fire outside the camp armory. The Stoll brothers, Travis and Connor from the Hermes cabin, were picking the lock at the camp store. A few kids from the Ares cabin were having a snowball fight with the wood nymphs at the edge of the forest. And that was about it. Even my old rival from the Ares cabin, Clarice, didn't seem to be around. The big house was decorated with strings of red and yellow fireballs that warmed the porch, but didn't seem to catch anything on fire. Inside, flames crackled in the earth. The air smelled like hot chocolate. Mr. D, the camp director, and Chiron were playing a quiet game of cards in the parlor. Chiron's brown beard was shaggier for the winter. His curly hair had grown a little bit longer, too. He wasn't posing as a teacher this year, so I guess he could afford to be casual. He wore a fuzzy sweater with a hoofprint design on it, and he had a blanket on his lap that almost hid his wheelchair completely. He smiled when he saw us. "Percy, Thalia! This must be—" "Nico D'Angelo," I said, "and his sister, him and his sister are half-bloods." Chiron breathed a sigh of relief. "You succeeded then." "Well—" His smile melted. "What's wrong? Where's Annabeth?" "Oh dear," Mr. D said in a bored voice. "Not another one lost." I'd been trying not to pay attention to Mr. D, but it was kind of hard to ignore in his neon orange leopard skin warm-up suit and his purple running shoes. Like Mr. D had ever run in a day of his immortal life. A golden laurel wreath was tilted sideways on his curly black hair, which must have meant that he'd won the last hand of cards. "What do you mean?" Thalia asked. "Who else is lost?" Just then, Grover trotted into the room, grinning like crazy. He had a black eye and red lines on his face that looked like a slap mark. "The hunters are moved in." Chiron frowned. "The hunters? I see we have much to talk about." He glanced at Nico. Grover, perhaps you should take our young friend to the den and show him our orientation film. But, alright, yes, sir. Orientation film? Nico asked. Is it G or PG? 'Cause Bianca's kinda strict. It's PG, Grover said.